So I wanted to do a video today to talk about this Morgan Rogers uh, madness that's been going on recently. Arsenal were interested in signing this player. Apparently, Mikel Arteta has had numerous conversations with him all summer. Personal terms were agreed and whatnot, but we still couldn't get it over the line. And then Chelsea come in, they swoop him with a £117 million bid and managed to, I assume, get his signature. Well, he hasn't actually officially signed yet, but it has been accepted by the club, so you can more or less say that this is a complete and done deal. The issue that I have with this deal actually has got nothing to do with Morgan Rogers himself, has got nothing to do with the player, has very little actually to also do with the club he's going to, but more so with the meltdown from Arsenal fans over the last 24 hours or so. But then again, as you know, it's really, really easy to wind up Arsenal fans online. And so, yeah, this is just typical amongst the fan base. Um, First thing I wanted to check out was, when does this summer window even end? Surely it's like end of August or beginning of September. Um, and just find out. Let's see. Okay, 1st of September. So people are crying their eyes out, and also a lot of Arsenal influencers are doing the same. I've watched a number of videos, from some members within AFTV, some ex members of AFTV, um, and again, this isn't just exclusive to them, but the bigger names amongst the online Arsenal diaspora, so to speak, are being incredibly ridiculous with their assertion about how our summer plans are now finished. We're not even going to be able to finish in the top four. How we missed out on signing Morgan Rogers when he was a done deal. He was Arteta's number one signing, number one target, whatever. Okay, there may be an element to some truth to that. However, I do think that this is a wild, wild overreaction. Um, when I think about the deal itself, £117 million is an extortionate fee and isn't even worth paying that for that kind of player. It seems like there are some fans who do actually understand the fact that, is he actually worth that? I mean, did anyone actually watch the game last night when England beat France 6-4? And where was Morgan Rogers exactly? I think he made probably one or two good moves, but he was quite anonymous. That being said, I do think there was some. This news may have contributed to his so-so performance, but there hasn't really been that much from what I've seen of him over the last year or so that really warrants this meltdown. Um, when I think about players who have gone in the past, if you think about every player who's um, gone for huge amounts of a significant fee, so to speak, over the last 10 years, how many players can we say for certain who cost north of £70 million and above that actually worked out? I can think of a handful of players, and when I assess every club's transfer business over the course of the last couple of years, I've come across this magic number of about 40%, and 40% is a figure that kind of determines that the percentage of players that tend to work out regardless of the fee structure. If you go through any club signings over the last 10 years, look at who they brought in and assess whether those players worked out, you would very rarely find a club who had a success rate above 40%. So, and the higher the fee, the higher the failure rate. So I wanted to take a look and just see of players who did, who were sold for more for £75 million, who actually did work out. Looking at Google Gemini just to see if this actually provides some context here. So we have about 24 major transfers. Let's see here. About a third of £75 million transfers have been defenders or defensive-minded players. Virgil van Dijk, Declan Rice, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, blah, blah, blah. Exactly. Um, so yeah, obviously, if we're looking at this from the barometer, scoring 20 plus goals or assists, it's not fair for defensive players. We can't judge them based on that. So if we're looking at them purely from the attacking midfield forward players, let's see who we actually end up with. So again, out of the 17 attacking mega transfers, 8 players have successfully worked out by mathematically hitting the criteria that I've set, or at least 20 goals or contributions per season. Of course, we have Mbappe. Yeah, the fee was insane, and that's what you. But this is what you would expect. These are the numbers that you should be expecting from someone who is going to be costing you north of £100 million. Mbappe 163 million, Neymar basically 200 million. I think some of these figures are over exaggerated, and are not completely correct. That being said, maybe the dollar or euro conversion is throwing me off. Neymar averaging roughly 32 GAs per season. Ronaldo, when he moved from Madrid to Juventus, again, and this was several years ago, but it's still within the realm of fees being extortionate. Harry Kane went for 86 million, and he's still, been banging in the goals. Bellingham went for a huge fee, and he's been well worth it. Higuain, I'll be honest, I haven't followed him much. Same for Griezmann to tell. Lukaku, even I would still consider that a failed transfer, even though it does pass my mathematical test. But then everyone else who actually failed, like all of these guys, have completely flopped. Hazard, Grealish, Dembele, but then Dembele moving to PSG and has clearly delivered, but he struggled. He struggled at Barcelona. There's no doubt about it. Jack Grealish completely flopped. Spent £100 million, and he was dreadful. João Felix again struggling. Pogba failed. Antony failed. Lukaku failed. So it doesn't seem like there are many players who actually are successful. Obviously, Declan Rice is considered is a midfielder, considered a defensive-minded midfielder in this context, though he is now starting to play more in that 8 role for Arsenal, and he has been successful. So, the one word that I have to say for Arsenal fans, especially for those of you who have any form of recognition of speaking Japanese, is Ochitsuke. Calm down, calm the hell down. There is no need to be throwing your toys at the pram because we lost. We lost Morgan Rodgers, who went to a club that finished. Where did Chelsea finish last season? Where did they finish again? For a club that finished 10th. They finished 10th. I've never seen any club or any other fan base having shot such a meltdown after winning the league because they lost out on signing a player that finished 10th place. I don't even think Man City fans, when they lost out on Declan Rice 3 years ago, collectively lost their shit because they lost Declan Rice to Arsenal. They probably didn't even really care, and all were not even really that interested. Other than they did actually make a bid. You have to remember that Man City actually did make a bid for Declan Rice that was rejected. Whereas Arsenal, to my knowledge, either didn't make a bid for Villa, but they were speaking to their intermediaries, and that £100 million target was what they were probably looking at as a limit, which is an extortionate amount of what they were playing, what they would be considered, what he's worth anyway, if we just look at his stats. So when I'm looking at Morgan Rodgers' stats over the last season, I think his return isn't bad. Like his GAs in all comps is sitting at 26, so that's just under half of the number of games that he's played. But again, it's like, is that £117 million worth? I don't necessarily think so. Let's see, what did he do the season prior to that? Was he better? Was he worse? So 30. So you could argue that he was slightly better the year prior. So he is averaging that 25 to 30 GAs per season. I can see why Arteta wants him, but he is not this world-class, world-beater type of talent that that it seems like people are crying about. And if we just take one more step, one more look as well, let's just see. Looking at the Streamlit Scout Lab app, in terms of what we're looking at, in terms of what we have here, um, the metrics that kind of speak out to me is okay. So X that total X that received from completed open play passes. A lot of these metrics are actually quite nerd metrics, so to speak. But I think the ones that are probably most suited to Arsenal style of play and what Arsenal are trying to accomplish in the season ahead: deep zone involvement, so deep completion, deep carries, deep receptions. So key actions inside the 20-meter radius or semi-circle within the opponent's goal. He's in the 83rd percentile for that. And he's in the top, the top 83% above the majority of players there. So that puts him in a great standing. So progressive actions, I see that as being another key stat here. So the sum of progressive carries. So I can understand why he's someone that we were really interested in having. And the more engines that Arsenal have in their squad, the better and easier it will be. But some of the meltdown that I've been hearing from some of these fans is, oh my God, we've lost out another target. The Monga deal I can agree with, because that fee wasn't even that much. I don't even think Man City paid that much for him. Let me just count them out. How much did Miller actually go for? Let's see. So it was 12.5 million plus add-ons as the maximum that they paid, which I don't understand why Arsenal couldn't meet that, because if you think about it realistically, Arsenal bought like a 16-year-old Theo Walcott for roughly the same, if not slightly more, if I'm not mistaken. So, and around the same age. So yeah, I guess that can't be used as an excuse, but 117 million pounds, nah. Just because Chelsea and Man City have decided to break the market, they broke the market. Chelsea broke the market 20 years ago when they came, and they completely was overspending, financially cheating, the rest of it. Man City, they still have the 115 charges. And if they want to break the market, let them break the market as they always do. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to result in titles. Arsenal are still in the driver's seat and are still in the primary position. They are still the best team in the country by quite a distance. And this is whilst having a front four that has underperformed significantly. So even if the front four that they had last season, even if they improve by 15 to 20%, which statistically speaking they probably will, then Arsenal will not struggle. So yeah, that's it. Chelsea are also have no chance of winning the league. Xabi Alonso, new manager, new system, new style of play. He's not going to come in and start like beating every single team with ease. It's not going to happen. Even if they signed Mbappe tomorrow, Chelsea would improve and they would probably be a top four team, but they will not be winning the league by default. Let's be honest. This league is a different ballgame. And when a club finishes in those positions where you're almost out of Europe, you're in that 8th to 10th place, you're playing one game a week, you have many issues outside of just performances on the pitch. Outside of performances on the pitch, the club becomes rotten from the inside. Look, Arsenal were there before when we finished in 6th and finished in 8th for several seasons in a row. Like, yeah, it's not the best place to be, but we have to be realistic here. It is what happens when your club is rotten from the inside out, and you need to fix it. So, Chelsea are still recovering from that. It's going to take them so many years in order to do that. We also have to remember that this is not the Arsenal Football Club from 2005 that had hundreds of millions of pounds in debt, who were forced to sell their best players in order to pay for the Emirates Stadium. This is a club that is now one of the best financially run club in the country, and by spending responsibly, it will work. You also have to remember that oftentimes when Arsenal goes for their second choice, the second choice works out. You know, if you compare the numbers between, I mean, I'm not sure yet. I haven't looked into these numbers, but if you compare the numbers between Gyökeres and Sesko, I am curious to see who actually ended up being more successful after their first season. Let's actually take a look and see. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Sesko, but I do remember Gyökeres being the one who hit, like, was it 14 Premier League goals that he got or something like that? Well, there you go. Oh no, but what are they talking about? This is 23-24. Come on. Um, let's be honest. Let's not be disingenuous now. Just because you're an Arsenal fan doesn't mean that you should be hiding the truth. They don't need images. Okay, but well, there you go. Um, yeah, it's like he scored 14 league goals and he was Arsenal's top goal scorer. You know, the interesting thing as well is that last season and the season before that, I don't even think Arsenal had a single player that scored more than 10 goals in the Premier League. And then they get Gyökeres. He gets insulted because of his style of play, or rather because Arsenal's style of play isn't suited to him. And he still comes away with 14 league goals and Arsenal win them. So it's like sometimes the second choice can ultimately work out. Look at the Mudryk and Trossard deal. It's like we had no interest in Trossard. We were going for Mudryk. And then, Chelsea come in, they decide to pay over the odds. And now look what happened to him. There's no guarantee. There is no guarantee that by spending a significant sum and that by getting your first target, that is definitely going to work out. Again, only 40% of players, only 40% of transfers actually end up working out. So, um, you know, also remember Liverpool last summer? Like they spent like $500 million, north of £400 million, $500 million they spent on players. A championship winning side spent so much significant sum, completely, you know, ripped apart the way that they play, the the system that they use with their manager, thinking, okay, now we can just go ahead, sign all the best players in the world and just start winning everything. Football doesn't matter like that. It doesn't matter like that. There are so many factors that are involved in the success of a club besides just who are the 11 players that's on the pitch at that day, at that time. There are so many factors. Where did Liverpool finish? Was it fifth or sixth? Like, where did Liverpool finish? That's actually an interesting question. I don't remember. Where did they finish in the league? Because I don't think they did very well. I don't think they did very well. Did they even get top four? They didn't even get top four. Okay, they're in the Champions League, but they didn't even get top four. So it's like, look at that, 60 points, dreadful. And people talk about Arsenal, second again, ole, yeah. But consistently for multiple seasons, for the last one and two, for so many years, Arsenal finished above these guys. So yeah. So the just to end on this note, like, I think Arsenal will be fine. Like, the summer window doesn't end until September 1st. They'll be okay. Uh, and so my advice to all Arsenal fans really is, like, you just need to make sure that you, like, relax, chill, have prosecco or something, and just enjoy the summer. Like, players are coming, and if you know anything about an Arsenal window, like I said before, the second option usually works out better, usually works out in the long run. So let's see how it goes, and we'll speak to you again soon when the next big news comes out.